What's going on, folks? Welcome into another episode of the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. We got a holiday edition already going on here. We're all excited for the holidays coming up. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers playing on Christmas Eve. You don't get that every year. I'm Mike Nicastro. That's Jordan York. JY, you always got your sick gear on. That's a nice new PGH shirt. It looks like you're in the festive mood. Does that have some Christmas lights around it? What is that?
Yeah, there was a company. I'm not sure what state they're from. I just know that they're Yinzers, and they sent me back to the Berg. So shout out to them. And of course, I got my sick hat on. I have yours. I'll be sending. That's my Christmas gift this year to you, is a sick hat from Sammy and Anello and the team. So I'll be sending that to you. But yeah, man, Steelers victory over the Panthers. It seemed like a home game, and 50th anniversary of Franco's. You know what it is. So let's get to it. The Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. Sammy, run it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
All right, we're going to talk Carolina Panthers recap for a little bit, and then I want to get into what Mike Tomlin said at his press conference today, because there are a lot of very important bullet points. But first, let's talk about the dub. The week prior, obviously just a soul-crushing loss to the Ravens. You can't sugarcoat that. Mitch Trubisky came in, relief of Kenny Pickett, who had a concussion and played really poorly. Through those 3 interceptions, a lot of people put the blame on him for losing that game. I think the run defense was just as big of a factor. Anyways, Tomlin names Mitch the starter before the Panthers game, and he went in and he played pretty well, Jordan. He managed the game. He did what he needed to do to secure a victory. So it's tough for me to say anything too negative about Mitch Trubisky today.
And he had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah. Sneak, the old QB sneak.
Yeah, I think Mitch is a serviceable quarterback, especially for what the Steelers paid for him. I don't think he's going to go out there and, light the world on fire, but he will win you some games. The defense did enough.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that I tweeted earlier in the week too about is that, everyone's like, the only reason that I thought Mason Rudolph should have got the start is just because if there was one game that he was going to start this year, he's been inactive the whole year. He's just handled this. We said this on previous episodes, just like a professional. So kudos to Mason Rudolph, because he's handled this like I guess a true gentleman, as you can say. But they're basically the same QB. It's Kenny Pickett just has that it factor, and I'm happy that he's going to be back against the Las Vegas Raiders. And Derek Carr, who blocked me on Twitter. I know Deontay Johnson was also chirping at me, and he had that bonehead play. He had 10 receptions and I think 98 yards, which it was really good to see him get that connection. But the stupid penalties like that, man. I mean, I get it that it's in the heat of the moment, but right from wrong. They're professionals, they're adults. I know I can't say I've never been a professional athlete, but I'm sure that Mike Tomlin and some of the players definitely chewed him out for that, because if we would have lost the game, I think it would have been a bigger deal but we won, so it wasn't.
Wait a minute. You're blocked by Derek Carr. I know you've been blocked by him for a while. Yeah. I'm blocked by Deontay Johnson. I found that out last week as I went to tweet at him. So you're about to be blocked by Deontay Johnson too, I'm assuming, if he's watching the Sick Podcast after that.
Yeah, and
we love you, Deontay. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, it's all love. That's what people do. Like I comment and talk on like these NFL things online, and it's just so funny because at the end of the day, I'm only talking about their play on the field. I'm sure they're outstanding citizens for the most part. So I just want everyone to kind of realize that it's our job to analyze these players on the field. So if they have a bad game, I love Kenny Pickett, but if he has a bad game, I'm going to say Kenny Pickett had a bad game. I'm sure that Kenny Pickett would say, I didn't play my best football. No, we're not talking about off the field. We're talking about their play on the field. It's our job to analyze here at the Steelers Crazy. Sick Podcast. So make sure you subscribe down there. We're going to have giveaways, and 2023 is going to be a great year.
Let's go.
All year round, we're going to be covering your Steelers with great guests. And I mean, the 3% now, I think it is. So I think we're going to be talking NFL draft here soon. I know that's one of your favorite things, but let's just shift the momentum to Christmas Eve. Man, I mean, this is just really, really exciting. They're retiring his number. It's the 50th anniversary. Kenny Pickett's back. It's going to be -3 degrees with a 20-degree wind chill. If that's not Pittsburgh football, I don't know what is. Derek Carr will be crying because that's what Derek Carr does. You know, I tweeted, I think yesterday, Derek Carr is the most overrated quarterback. If I went back and looked at, you know, he's a good quarterback. He is what he is, man. He just can't get over that hump to reach greatness and make a playoff run. So to me, that's just an overrated quarterback. Derek Carr, you're going down.
I tell you what, I don't completely disagree. He's got a ton of talent around him.
Yeah, and
the team
has
should
done
be
nothing.
It was a playoff team last year. You add Devontae Adams, the best receiver in the NFL, arguably. You add some other playmakers on the outside. Josh Jacobs is having the best season of his career at running back. You get a guy like Chandler Jones, and this is a team that's sitting in the exact same spot as the Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-8, who have a rookie quarterback and are sort of in that rebuilding phase. So before the season, I didn't think Derek Carr was overrated. I thought he was a guy on the uprise who was ascending, but now I have to completely agree with you because of what they've done this season, right? This is a what have you done for me lately league.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, at the end of the day, he's 6-8. They had a pretty crazy comeback last week against the New England Patriots. Everybody's going to talk about the
It's
play
like his
around
Super
the
Bowl.
world.
He's crying on the sideline. It's regular season, bro. Relax.
Yeah, and you're 6-8. The immaculate Chandler Jones, whatever you want to call it, whatever happened last week. But the Raiders caught a little break with the touchdown. Before that, this could be a 5-9 football team heading into Pittsburgh. So I'm with you, man. It's fun. That's what I tweeted out this week. I'm happy that this is fun again. I think if both of these teams didn't have an ounce of playoff chances, maybe the interest is down a little bit. They're not going to make the playoffs, either team. But mathematically speaking, they're both in.
I mean, no one thought the
play the hard
Steelers were
job.
going to sneak in last year. I mean, I went to bed and woke up and I'm like, wait, we're in the playoffs. And I think we talked about, shout out, we would be doing our live show with Chris Wormley at Cafe Note. Go out there tonight and hang out with Santa. I know a bunch of people we were expecting. And the biggest thing is we just want Worm to get back healthy and do his thing. So just Chris Wormley, we're thinking about you. And yeah, man, get healthy, because at the end of the day, this is bigger than football. And that's a tough injury. Hate to see him go down, but at least he was able to do the butt shake that shook Acrisure Stadium after that sack before, which I seen turned into a GIF, because I see people who online who aren't even Steelers fans using it. So Chris Wormley is now a national treasure, thanks to the Steelers crazy JY and Michael Nicastro. So we'll take credit for that.
Don't want to forget, he'll be back next week. We're not done. We got a Worm show. We got a recap.
Oh, wait, there's more.
He'll be talking 2 consecutive wins for the Steelers after they go ahead and beat the Raiders this weekend. So we're excited to have him back on. He's not healthy, which is very unfortunate, but the Steelers are still pretty healthy. You mentioned it. Kenny Pickett is coming back. Terrell Edmonds is a little banged up, but it sounds like he is going to play on Sunday. Pat Freiermuth is a bit of a concern. He's got a foot injury. Love the guy. He got me 0 fantasy points in an important quarterfinal game this past weekend. I will not hold it against them, as all these players tweet all the time. I don't give a you-know-what about your fantasy team. So understandable, Pat. I'm more worried about your health and concerned about, of course, your longevity and long-term future, opposed to getting me fantasy points. And what's most important is that he's on the field and healthy for the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Such a key cog in that offense. Kenny Pickett's security blanket. So relatively healthy, and it's also cool. I mentioned the fact that they can play all their starters because they're still mathematically in the equation. Mike Tomlin is going to put TJ Watt out there, even though you can consider shutting him down. Kenny Pickett's going to play, even though some might have considered shutting him down. He has 2 concussions. He's a rookie. That's scary.
They want to keep Tomlin's 500 record.
They do.
We put out a graphic on the Sick Media, and people were going nuts. This is the standard. Well, I understand that this isn't but this is where we're at as an organization right now. It's not like, what do you want to do? Let's lose out just so you're not going to talk to a professional athlete. I don't care if if it's the Houston Texans, they're still playing to win. Like, it's not like they don't go in the locker room and say, I mean, maybe in some instances, like in Miami before, but, but for the most part, I think the guys in the locker room would like to win and keep that intact. I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, it's still, I still think it's great just to end on a high note. Like you said, we can send Deshaun Watson home if he plays in that final game. And I think that would be a good send off and some positivity to beat the Browns and, get ready for the draft and get ready for OTAs off season and all that stuff. One thing I did want to add, because I've been really active just in the NFL world, just, talking and giving my opinion. Don't you find, and I want to get your take on this too, is could you imagine if the Pittsburgh Steelers moved to like Erie? Like, so you have an historical franchise like the Raiders, okay? And you move to Las Vegas. Like, Oakland and Vegas is somewhat close, but like, could you imagine, like, remember when they were going to sell the Penguins, like people were ready to burn down the town. Could you imagine if the Rooneys were like, you know what, this is too much to run a sports franchise, we're moving to Erie? Like, I just feel like, to me, like, your Vel argument, like, the Cowboys are Americans team, like, congratulations. We see where that's going. And so I'm just like, I just kind of want to get your take, like what you think, like it's from, because I still mess up, and just like we call Heinz Field still, and it's Acrisure Stadium, but like, we're playing, I still have a bedspread from when I was 3 years old that has Oakland. Well, they were the Los Angeles Raiders then.
Yeah.
But it's just so crazy. Like, I just kind of wanted to, because I never really like thought about that, because it's like, their fans just like, just like what, like, I don't get it.
I think it depends on a few factors. I mean, so the Penguins were going to move to Kansas City. Yeah. That is so far away from the Berg.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't follow them.
I don't know that I would have followed them either. It would have been tough, at least. If they're in Erie, shit, yeah. you could go.
Well, I guess that wasn't a good analogy, but you got what I was saying.
Maybe put them in like,
Nova Scotia,
Alabama. There's Alabama. They don't have a pro football team. That's somewhere that you couldn't just pick up.
The Alabama Steelers
to watch a game. The Alabama Steelers.
Najee Harris might like it.
I think at this point we're ingrained in being Steeler fans, so it'd be tough to detach from that because we'd still have an NFL team. They'd still have a lot of players, Kenny Pickett, guys that are Steelers in our heart. But I'm with you, man. I can't imagine being. I think of like a St. Louis Rams fan, right? Like, they have to be so near and dear to your heart, and then they take off and they go to Hollywood under the bright lights. Like, I might lose a little bit of fandom there. To me, I still call the LA Chargers the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, I don't think they ever should have left San Diego.
I mean, obviously their budgets were tight. They did what they had to do for the franchise. LA is so much money, man. They're swimming in it. Whoever, you got Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston hanging out at your games, Kevin Hart, whoever is there. But what you don't have is Chargers fans. That kind of sucks. That stadium gets overrun by whoever's playing in there. The Steelers.
That's what Carolina looked like. And I have family in Carolina. And you always say, well, I mean, you look, and I mean, I don't know if it's like the yellow towels that are waving, but I mean, it looked like 80% Steeler fans to me, but I don't think that the Panthers had much fans. And it was crazy because when we had our buddy from Wells on, Dean
Jones,
I honestly forgot about like the hatred for TJ Watt in Carolina, because ever since Cam Newton went down. So that victory was just, I think that victory in Carolina was just really good for the Steelers, and they're starting to click. I don't want to say Matt Canada is saving his job, because they're still not like the high powered offense. They have way too much talent. You throw the ball in the vicinity of anywhere George Pickens, and he's making a top 10 catch. It's you can hate and say what you want. The dude is just literally, he's going to be a superstar. I just hope that he doesn't go down the AB route, because we all see how that happened. The Killer Bees in Pittsburgh, man, that could have been multiple Super Bowls if the egos were put aside. But, Christmas Eve, man, I Franco Harris, if I had to say it right now, I just I know Derek Carr has his record against the Steelers is pretty good, and we don't play well against the Raiders. I was looking at it today, but I just think that there's just that's just too special of a night I'm sure Ben Roethlisberger will be there too. So maybe he'll start calling plays at halftime if Matt Canada can upkeep with that. But yeah, man, I mean, it's in Steeler land, there is stuff. There's a lot of optimism. Like, obviously, it's not like we know it's not going to be a Super Bowl year, but we know that we can take away the progress of Kenny Pickett. And I kind of put out a rant out there earlier this week about the concussions. I think it is definitely something to worry about. When you're in concussion protocol twice this early in your career, I think he's played 8 or 9 games now. And it's dangerous, man. And you don't want that to affect him, not, on the field, but, off the field. So I definitely think it's something to worry about, but, you got to go out there and it's football, man. You got to play the game, but I'm definitely excited that he's going to be playing. And I just want to thank Mitch for, doing a great job and bouncing back. I kind of like that mentality about Mitch, because a lot of people, after that poor performance coming in against the Ravens, it's crazy because, some people would get down and they just go down that dark tunnel and come back and they just don't find their mojo. But, he's been in this position before. And yeah, man, kudos to Mitch.
I'm going to call this final week the EMCF week. And that stands for Evaluate Matt Canada's Future. Because I think these last 3 games will determine a lot in regard to if Matt Canada will be back next season. If you put a gun to my head right now and said, will Matt Canada be back next year? I would say yes. However, 3 games is a lot of time. You have a full complement of health on offense, it appears. Kenny Pickett's going to play. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren are back there. Pat Freiermuth obviously has
I really
a foot
like
injury.
Jaylen Warren. He got that touchdown.
Looks great. Pat has a foot injury, but if the Steelers offense can kind of pick up where they left off pre-Ravens game, right, when you might want to give Canada a pass because Trubisky played really poorly and he was thrust into that role. But if Kenny Pickett looks good these last 3 games, maybe they go 2-1, offense is flowing, not turning the ball over, I think Matt Canada is going to save his job. However, on the flip side, if they struggle offensively, kind of go back to that form earlier where every single blame, right, ounce of blame on social media was placed on Matt Canada that first handful of weeks, I think he could be gone, because that's a taste that'll leave in your mouth, right? At the end of the season, you're kind of thinking of, all right, how did we look in that last handful of games? This is the last time we got to see the Steelers offense. And I think in a lot of ways, that's what they'll be judged on instead of the final platform at the end of the day. So the EMCF week is coming up right here. It's a big week for Matt Canada and the Steelers. All right. It's a big week for the holidays. I'm really excited because obviously the holidays fall on a weekend. It's been a long time since we had a Christmas Sunday. And Monday it's observed, and Saturday the Steelers play. So in honor of our guy, Chris Wormley, who does the Worm Association every week, where I throw out some terms and he gives us some fun responses about how he feels about that. Jordan and I are going to play Worm Association, but I'm going to call it York Association, but we still want to run that title. All right. I'm just going to throw out some random holiday terms, and I just want to get your thoughts on these. You're a holiday guy. You're wearing lights right now on your chest. Yeah. So, all right, the first thing I'm going to start with, and I want your honest thoughts. Keep it real.
All right.
Candy canes.
So I don't like the actual candy canes, but I do like the mint candy canes because they're always good on the go, like the ones that they give you at the restaurant.
The spearmint, the green.
Yeah.
Those
like if
fine.
you go to any Italian restaurant when you're leaving, they have like the little bowl and they're like, take one. I'm taking 3.
All right. I respect that. Tell me a little bit about what you think about Santa Claus.
The movie?
No, the guy.
The guy. Old Saint Nick. Well, I'll tell you what, man.
Old Saint Mick.
Yeah. Old Saint Mitch. But Santa Claus, man, he's a great guy, man. He my childhood was great with him. He brought me everything that I wanted, and now my daughter Aria can look up the Santa Claus and Old Saint Nick. We used to do a thing. I remember growing up on Christmas Eve, we would go to church and you would leave your shoes and he would fill it. Some years I got cool, but most of the years I got some. He left some cool things in there for me, so I have no problems with Old Saint Nick.
All right, that's respectful. I agree. He's a jolly big fellow, and you leave cookies out for him. I always like telling the story of back in the day, my mom, of course, would leave some cookies and milk overnight for Santa Claus. And then I think she would sneak down and take a couple of bites in the middle of the night. And I think one time I caught her and I was like, why are you eating Santa Claus cookies right now? And then it kind of registered a few years later as to why that was going on. All right, tell me a little bit about Christmas carols, Christmas music. Are you a Jingle Bells guy, or do you go towards Mariah Carey?
Yeah, so I love Christmas music. Like I literally, like when I'm sick of the radio or sick of my aux cord, it just puts me in a good mood. Like honestly, like I'm more into it like right around Thanksgiving, like because they start playing it. Yeah, I love Christmas music. Caroling, I'm not. It's too much for me. I know I'm a music guy, but I'll let the carolers do that. I think that Christmas music just puts me in. I grew up on like the California Raisins, Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You. I love Mariah Carey. Grew up on that. So yeah, man. I mean, Christmas music's great. The people who say, "Oh, I can do it," they're just, they're just Scrooges.
I feel like a Scrooge because I'm so sick of Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas.
Man. It never. Her voice
every time it comes on, I just
maybe it's just I like Mariah Carey.
I just get angry. I get angry now. I'm just like, I don't want to hear this.
You know why? Because you're getting old.
Maybe I'm trying to preserve it because I've heard it so many times that like next time I hear it, maybe next year, I want to feel like I'm in the Christmas spirit again. But I hear Mariah Carey, and within 2 seconds now, I change it from the radio or Spotify, whatever it is, Alexa, and I go ahead and get on with the next song, whatever that may be. All right, let me throw a kind of a nasty one at you. Tell me about The Grinch.
Well, it's funny.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, I like The Grinch. I love the song. I think it's creative. I think it's great. And it's funny. So when we were younger, Shelly, my cousin David, they had the big blow up of The Grinch and everything. And every Christmas Eve we would go over there and she would be baking and me and Dave would literally just watch The Grinch. And it was like a thing that we did every year. And we were, I mean, you know what it was like at Christmas. I mean, in this Christmas, at this age now, to get Steelers football, that's the best gift ever. Steelers football on Christmas Eve. I mean, my favorite thing is NBA on Christmas Day. It's like a tradition. I sit and watch every single game. So to have football Christmas Eve and then NBA Christmas, like, as a sports lover, man, like, this is all I need. You can take the gifts back. Just give me a 75-inch TV and Sports Center and ABC, and we're good to go.
That's a great way to end it. I feel the exact same way. I also want to shout out anybody that doesn't celebrate Christmas. If you're Hanukkah, if you're Kwanzaa, I'm sure that you're also having a great time enjoying your celebrations.
I got to learn how to the dreidels, man. I always thought that was. I was messing with one today actually because we have one set up and I had to put another candle on it. But that thing, I gotta get my spin down.
Yeah, we'll need a lesson at some point. My fiance's family has a little bit of Judaism mixed in, so we'll get a lesson in there. Menorahs, and I think it's 8 days of Christmas or 12 days of Christmas. I sound like an idiot if I botched that. Either way, hopefully you've already left us at this point. Here in the sick.
Right before we go, what's your pick for the Steelers? I'm gonna say
I don't want to do it yet. Let's wait for Thursday. We got another episode. We'll have a Raiders.
Right. You're right,
potentially a Raiders person on. We need a little more time to think, feel out the rest of the week. That's
why we're just going to enjoy this victory.
Thursday. Let's enjoy it. I think we might both be leaning a certain way, the way we've chatted. So Thursday, we're going to hope to have somebody on. We might not. Listen, it's a pretty busy week, obviously, for a lot of people out there. If you procrastinate your holiday shopping like me, I still need to make a Target run or a mall run, probably on Friday, which is sad, but that's just how I operate. Generally, I like putting the pressure on last minute. I thrive under the pressure. So he's at Jordan York.
You're like the 2-minute drill. Just give you 2 minutes and you'll get it done. Remember that's what they used to say about Ben Roethlisberger.
It's weird, man.
2 minutes. That's all he needs.
Teams can't score for 3.5 quarters, and then you get down to the 2-minute drill, and they just find a way to get down the field, and score. It's absolutely unbelievable. The Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. Follow us on Twitter at SickPod Steelers. Find us on YouTube right there. The Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. Always bringing you heat, like Jordan said. Huge 2023 coming up, but we're still focused. We got another show or two in 2022. All right, for next time, that's Jordan. I'm Mike. Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.